parent or legal custodian for a crime where the victim is a child is in the subject of the Department of Investigation. What this amendment does, it talks about, for line 4, it talks about parents that have access to, copies of the records, correct? But there's situations where we don't want the parents to have access to the records. It goes back to law enforcement criminal investigation. This just to clarify that, and this is the judge just had a question, and this just to clean up some language, make it clear. Yes, you can have access to records. You know, DHR has the authority to redact and make sure it's as long as it's not sensitive in nature. But also, if you want to clarify that if there's an investigation that has been open, you don't have rights to for DHR to give the parents of the records because it shifts to the law enforcement side. This is a total separate proceedings. So this is just to clean up some language there. And then the second part of the amendment, it goes to replace line 108 through 110 on page 4 with the following. Allow the legal counsel to attend any communications, interviews, or meetings with the individual act as the individual representative. Basically what it's doing, because I'm going to drop down to the bottom, this subparagraph does not replace the department requirements to modify their timeline. The judge had a concern. The bill, where it was initially written, it says the parents can have the opportunity to be represented by counsel, and that counsel will have opportunity to attend meetings, communications. The judge want to make sure that the parents cannot use that as leverage to prolong the process and the burden become on DHR versus opposite. So this just to clarify that, yes, you have a right to legal counsel, but DHR has a timeline they have to stick to, and this shall not change that. So we just want to make sure the focus stay on the welfare of the child instead of this shifting to the parents or even an attorney, you know.
Well, I guess go ahead. On that point, it talks about legal counsel, but what about that child that perhaps has already been removed from the household? Will their representative at LIDA, whatever the legal term, guardian ad litem, will they also be afforded the same opportunities? Because I know we keep talking about that custodian parent or whoever, but I'm more worried about the kid, making sure that this process is still fair and legal for them as well. So will they be afforded that opportunity to have those communications and those interviews? And then my other question, and I'll shut up. This is a whole lot. And I'm sitting here just thinking to myself, DHR is so overburdened, because I got 2 or 3 calls into them right now, and I was looking at the physical note. I want you to speak to them. How they gonna pay for all of this, and where they gonna get the money, or where will we get the money?
Okay, so going to the first question about the guardian ad litem. Okay, the current policies in place, this bill doesn't change any of DHR current policies and procedures. So
is that part of the policy now?
Right, for the judiciary side, yes, the judge can appoint a guardian ad litem.
That wasn't my question. I want that guardian ad litem, just like the legal counsel that's in your amendment, to have those same rights to those communications and interviews to make sure the interests of the child is protected.
Okay, well, that's good. I can add that to the amendment. I think this is supposed to get good feedback. Although this current, it can be allowed under current code and administrative procedures, but yes, we can codify that too.
I think they would be, Representative Drummond. But I guess my concern with this portion of the amendment is what happens, if the attorney says, well, I can't be there, and they just keep saying, I can't be there. I mean, is DHR allowed with this just to keep on, just to go without them, or they're required to be there? I mean, just saying that they can't delay doesn't mean that, what will happen? What will happen whenever they say, well, I can't be there Tuesday, I can't be there Thursday, and I can't be there next Wednesday?
I mean, they can keep prolonging the case manager.
Well, the purpose of this is to keep the attorney from prolonging the case. The priority number 1 is the welfare of the child. So this is what this is structured for. DHR focuses welfare of the child. So we'll make sure that the legal team, they cannot, out of gamesmanship, keep doing that, so prolong it.
Yeah.
Now, you can request that, but still DHR, they would stick with their protocol. And, so that's the main purpose of this, make sure that the attorney or the parent cannot just keep trying to prolong the process. The priority number one is the welfare of the child, so this does not change DHR timeline. That's priority number one. They have great policy procedures. We'll make sure that legal counsel cannot hinder that.
Madam Chair, follow?
You
Well, at the bottom of the amendment, it says, or meetings around the availability of the individual's legal counsel. So it seems like we are making more provision for them than we are for DHR's timeline. I mean, I may be interpreting that wrong. You may wanna ask somebody who's legal, but that's the way I interpret it when I read it.
I think that's the bottom of my question is, is DHR allowed to move forward if the,
I just think, I don't know what the policy is, DHR, but, am I right in saying that you don't even have counsel, don't have a GAL unless the child's federal due and a petition filed in court? Yeah, it's like just do a safety plan, there's no GAL, there's no lawyers involved at that point.
But, and just to address the issue you have there, once again, that's why we're having a dialogue, good feedback. Not gonna have LSA to restructure that. Once again, just make sure the emphasis stay on the welfare of the child and in the timeline that DHR already have established in their policy. That's priority number one. But we also want to make sure the parents have the legal counsel, but that balance is the welfare of the child. That's priority number one.
For clarity's sake, so on that last sentence, that's the sentence you're talking about, you're gonna restructure, because here it says available, like you said, availability of the individual's legal counsel, which would imply that the counsel can still say, I'm not available. So you'll have them to look closer at that sentence.
But yes, that's correct.
and lastly, you've got at the bottom of the amendment, one more thing to cover.
Okay, and the last thing portion it talks about the juvenile judge had a concern about the recording. You know, if the parents will be is allowed to record interactions with DHR. That's currently part of our law. It be part of the conversation. But the bill also states that if the parent or legal custodian is not available, try to preserve the integrity of the conversation with the child, DHR will record the conversation. So the judge will make sure that you don't come with a big microphone in the center of the table talking with the child. Do it in a discreet manner where it will not cause additional stress to the child. So that's what that language is kind of focused on. And, but Madam Chairman, and just from our conversation right here, you see my goal is to continue to work this process.
And I commend you for the work, and we've had conversations, and there's been a lot of conversations with the members. And obviously we can say, we're not ready for a vote today.
Right.
But I wanted you to be able to get the committee up to speed on what you have done so far, and hear additional concerns so that the language can be tightened up, and in trying to help you get that done, I want to establish a subcommittee to continue to work with you on this bill, and I'm going to appoint Representative Wadsworth to chair that subcommittee. He's an attorney and works with family court issues, and I think has some expertise there that can help us out on this issue. And so it's for members to work with this subcommittee. I would appoint Representative Drummond and also Representative Ream and Representative Moore and Representative Ross. Just about.
I appoint somebody else because of my availability.
Okay. Well, as it's been pointed out, it's not half the committee, so I think we'll just go with what we have, if that's okay.
Madam Chairman, I just close with just want to let the committee know also this bill is mirrored after Texas law they passed in 2023. Representative Frank out of Texas, he passed this bill in 2023. Not spoke with his chief of staff, and I know this is not Alabama, but the reason I reached out to them, they have implemented this 2 years 2 years ago. I just wanna make sure what type of feedback they're getting from their social, insurance welfare department and also their district attorney. So I'm waiting to hear back from them, but once again, I look forward to continue working with our committee members.
I appreciate that, Representative, yeah, Representative Moore.
With it mirroring the bill from Texas, is the bill from Texas parallel to what you got, or are you getting there?
No, I'm actually bringing it down about 50% from their bill
Okay.
is stronger.
Okay, their bill is stronger than what you got, okay, I just wondered that too.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you, members, for attending today and getting this update, and, we'll just, wait for the work of the subcommittee before moving forward, but I just wanted everybody to know what's being done and where we're at, because it's a very comprehensive bill. Thank you, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. We are adjourned. And I apologize for running off, but I gotta get to the governor's office real fast, so.
When I drop out my drama, I'll just take a picture of where it is, that way you'll be able to see.
That'll work. I have no further answer to your question. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's why I said, give it to me.
Good job for putting your chair. Amy Walmsley. I live in Shelby County, but my issue with DHR lies in Mobile County. I know you do Henry and Houston County. I was joking just now. You asked how DHR removes children when there's no criminal issues. I agree with you. I'm not sure how they have the right or the ability to do so, but they do it every day. I talk to parents every day. How this happened to me.
Just start out there.
It's funny because my esteemed colleague, who I think very highly of, mentioned two situations, and one of them was a criminal.
Drugs are criminal. Yeah, really. Because they're
But it's not having your house or your home livable.
That's a poverty issue.
Yeah, but it could be criminal in the sense that it's accidentally that it's abusive.
Right, that's what I'm
So,
saying.
do you have an answer to my questions of that? I understand what I think they're articulating, is that there's really no crime, they're accusing us of one, but they're taking the child. What would you think is a situation?
For example, my specific situation, or you know what, I actually won't use mine because it's probably, there was a parent in Talladega County. It was him and his wife, and their 5 little girl children. The youngest was 11 months old. The wife being suicide. There was no criminal activity. Talladega County was of the position that a single dad could not raise 5 little girls that he was going to, you know what? And he decided, whoa, y'all are crazy. And he took his children out of state to live with his family. They put a whole thing all over, like an Amber Alert bulletin. This dad kidnapped his children from a DHR visit. These children were not in DHR custody. There was no DHR visit. They were with their father in custody. And they found them, they arrested him. Talladega County assaulted him. They did this and that, and all of their abuse control. He committed suicide and said he blew his brains out after hanging up the phone with another advocate for his class act. And his family was going to go out and talk to the and they've chosen not to press towards them. There was no crime there, and they committed multiple crimes, and now these children are without both parents. And in my case, we didn't live in Ocean County. We were visiting I thought trusted family friend. We had to go down there for some traffic courts and other things. And they claimed that my children didn't have food. They claimed we lived there. We didn't. So Mobile doesn't even have jurisdiction. Shelby County. The sheriff came. The sheriff was there. The children are fine. There's nothing wrong here. Since it involves children, the HR has to be. And I was like, okay, well, there's nothing wrong. So they can come see us, and then we'll leave. So we come down here and visit. The HR put in their petition to the judge. They took my children that night. They put in the petition to the judge. They claimed I threatened to kill my children. I did not. And there's, even if I did, which I would never do, there's no record for this. You can't say, oh, well, Bob said that. Proof Bob said that. They claimed we lived there.
court
halfway.
has been a big hearsay.
And that is a major problem, that's what they've done. It's 3.5 years. So they just, what they claim, and there does need to be a clause for that, because there are extenuating circumstances where children are in immediate danger. Because there's a clause that says we can pick up the children before we give a court order if the children are in imminent danger. And that needs to happen, because like, what if it's Friday night and somebody is trying to, there needs to be an extenuating circumstance, a clause for that. But what they do with it, they just broadly use it and go, well, you know what, I don't like you, I don't like
Well, this
that.
is in
Your children are in imminent danger, and they use that clause to just take people's children, even without a criminal aspect.
But
These are,
this thing right here.
So there needs, that clause needs to exist, but it needs to be like, this imminent danger clause, I know that's not part of the bill, but what they need to do, and what would, you know, THR